Welcome to the Kings of Causeway podcast, part of the Boston Sports Entertainment Network. I'm your host, Pat Berg, joined as always by Ryan Coffey. We are here tonight to recap round 2, game 1, Bruins, Panthers. Coffey, how you feeling, buddy?
As you know, I had my own men's league game, so didn't get to see, the first period of this game. Tuned in with a couple minutes left in the second, and fuck, did we take it to them. I don't want to get too excited. I will say Florida carried a lot of that game. However, we followed the recipe me and you put together and the script we put together before the game on how to win this game, and I couldn't be more impressed. I mean, realistically, they followed it to a T. Guys got physical, guys got chippy at the end. Every single player kind of seemed like they contributed tonight. Swayman stood on his head again. We're blocking shots like we're the Toronto Maple Leafs. I mean, up and down the lineup, I really can't complain about this one. What were your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, it was one of those. First period was honestly kind of how you'd expect being on the road and being against such an evenly matched team. I think you're exactly right to not get too high on what this win was. Putting up the goal tally is great and awesome, and you love to see it, and you love to bring that energy to the locker room. But let's not let the score line confuse. Like, this was not a lopsided game from start to finish. It was very even in the first. It was honestly leaning towards Florida's direction in the first. Florida even got the first goal in the second. Our response, once again, what I want to call out, Game 7 last series, 1 minute and 21 seconds after Nylander's goal, we scored. 1 minute and 7 seconds after Tkachuk's goal, we scored. Our response has been great, but I also just let's not pretend like we scored 4 goals in the first period and they scored none and then we just cruised. Like, that was not what this game was. Scoreline great, awesome, flattering. It reminds me a lot of what Game 1 last series looked like. So while yes, to your point, the boys played out almost exactly what we said. We need intensity from all 4 lines and all 6 D-men. We need Swayman to keep being Swayman. They were exactly that. This was the epitome of what we called for. So I want to give them all the flowers I possibly can. The one thing I refuse to do is to look at this scoreline and go, well, Bruins in 4.
Yeah,
I don't think that's what it's going to be. I don't think it changes that. There was, to your point, Jeremy Swayman stood on his head. I texted you at one point. I don't know how he's tracking some of these pucks, but he is. Like, this is I'm looking on our Twitter, on Bruins Twitter, on Bleacher Report Bruins Twitter, all about do you pay the man? I don't think this is not even a question. This is the best goaltender in the league. You pay this man whatever the fuck he wants in the off season. You don't go to arbitration. He is your guy. Honestly, trade Ullmark for whoever and just give Swayman all of Ullmark's salary if that's what it takes. That
easily deserves Tuukka Rask money, if not more.
If not more. Honestly, we'll see how the playoffs go, but I would argue, even as it stands right now, more. And I'm the biggest Tuukka Rask fan anybody on this earth will ever find. I got my parents to name their cat after that goaltender.
I don't know if it's coming through for everyone else, but you got a little feedback coming through. I don't know if you want to do
No, it's terrible.
AirPod reset.
Give it a try. All right. What what are we talking?
Like, it's pretty scratchy. Maybe just put them in the case and put them back in.
All right. Well, then you carry the conversation for a little bit.
All right. Yeah, we got technical difficulties here. We'll be back live in 30 seconds. Quick commercial break, but I mean, Yeah, I'm sure we're gonna get into depth on this, but how about now? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
All right, let's just keep going. It's definitely a lot better. You can hear me? We're good?
Yeah. Go for it. What were we've obviously got to pay the man.
No, we absolutely have to pay Swayman. I'd say him tracking the puck, I haven't seen anything of this level. I mean, he is dialed in, and it's pretty incredible. Like it goes back to his flexibility and kind of his conditioning and work ethic, because he is able to be flexible, and I think he's just able to get into positions that other goalies really can. He's able to get low and see pucks through legs and see pucks through arms, and it goes to his attention to detail. You know, we talked about him doing yoga. He deserves every penny, because I mean, he's doing stuff I haven't seen goalies do in a long time, and he's not a big goalie, so he doesn't really have the benefit of like, oh, I'm just gonna,
he's not Vasilevsky that just needs to just flex his lats and cover all the goal.
No, he is. He deserves every penny, and I will say this: right when I got home, I'm sitting there thinking that someone brought up like the Conn Smythe, and it was like when I was driving home from hockey.
And there's
the
two Panthers, Bobrovsky's on Panthers. It, and no sleep.
And I'm literally sitting there, and I'm like, wow, that's an opportunity for me to bet Swayman. I shit you not, Pat. In the 30 minutes it took me to drive home, I go to bet Jeremy Swayman on DraftKings. He is now number two in the rankings for the Conn Smythe. And the game hadn't even finished yet. So just within a 30-minute period, even the odds makers at Vegas are like, well, if Bruins win the cup, then it's Jeremy Swayman that is getting the Conn Smythe, which is very obvious.
Which anybody in Boston would have told you 10 days ago would have been 100%. The case. Like 100%. That was stupid. I saw the same graphic come up, and it's like, all right, McDavid's up there, whatever. McKinnon's up there, whatever. And then it was like Kachuk and then Bobrovsky. I was like,
yeah,
because
real
they beat Tampa, because they beat wild card number 2.
Real weird for Bobrovsky to have a under 900 save percentage in the first series and still make it on there. That's kind of ridiculous. It sucks though, because I was going to bet Swayman all the way, but now he's number 2 odds. It's kind of like, well,
I mean, well, yeah,
I'd still bet it. I
but the value is now gone. The value is gone, evaporated, and it's purely because NBC or whoever brought that up.
100%.
They say the house is undefeated. The house is going to make sure that they're covering all their bases there, even if it's just for a little while. What were your thoughts on the way the boys came out? I mean, I'm sure you caught maybe a little bit of highlight on how they played in the first and second, just in that intermission period. Like, did you get any feeling for how they came out? Because I thought they came out really well.
It was hard to tell from the highlights. I feel like I didn't see enough, because like what they don't show on the highlights is what was the first 5 minutes. Were they forechecking? Were they throwing hits? I mean, based on my conversation with you on the ride home, it sounds like they kind of came out the first 5-10 minutes. So, I mean, yeah, I honestly couldn't give an honest opinion. You'd probably know better than me, but I feel like they did enough to keep it 0-0, which is, huge against Panthers. You can't let them go in and score a goal immediately in the first 10 minutes. So that's a bonus. And I since I watched kind of the second half of it, I feel like we got better over time. It sounds like
we definitely aged like good wine. It was the first, couple of shifts were fairly even. Florida definitely took it to us in the first period a little bit. In a way that started getting a little nervy, and they started putting up the damn zone time counter in the upper left, where it was like, oh my God, 45, 55, 65, like whatever.
Yeah.
Seconds of zone time, but Swayman was either making saves or the guys in front were getting crucial blocks. And more important, I thought, than the guys getting blocks, guys were blocking shots and tracking the puck at the same time. Like, they were seeing where it was going. Like, once it hit them in the leg, they were like, oh, that hit me in the leg. I know where that probably went. And we're skating that way before Florida could, and that would lead to like us getting out of the zone. Unfortunately, we were so kind of hemmed in that they just came right back into the zone, and then we were doing the same dance again. But after about 10 minutes, I don't know if Florida tired or if we just clicked into another gear, but we started doing the exact same thing, the opposite direction. And it was us that was carrying the play into their zone. So if honestly, the first 10 minutes, Florida probably could have said, hey, that's 10-9 us. And then the second 10 minutes, that easily was 10-9 Bruins. So I think we ended the first period, level. And then at the beginning of the second, it was more the same. I was like, the Bruins, our first power play was what I consider to be the worst power play to possibly get. That one that split literally almost 60 seconds in one period and then 60 seconds in another period.
Yeah.
To me, it's the worst. I've always said it's the worst. You're tired at the end of a period. If they get one good clear, you're probably not scoring. And then you start the next power play at the center dot where you've got to start it all over again.
Yeah.
It's the worst, and it's exactly what it was. Thought we could have had a couple more before that. They weren't called. That one, we didn't deserve anything from it. Fortunately, the plus side of having the split, while we lose a lot of the advantage of 2 solid minutes of potential time, they lose 2 solid minutes of getting the crowd into it. So Florida didn't gain any momentum off that second kill. I think half the crowd was still getting their beers and coming back, which we'll talk to in a moment. And then
and let's talk about the one moment, the one thing we did call out that they could not do tonight. And I swear I turned it on after hockey and I go, I better not be the bad luck charm, because fucking another too many men penalty, the 4th of the playoffs. It's just unacceptable. And I really, the second that happened, I go, this is when Florida like beats us 3-1, to be honest.
Right. Yeah.
I thought that was
this could have been,
they're going to go
this could have been there. They're going to score, then they're going to
3-1.
score again, then they're going to score again. It was going to be like 3 goals in 2:30.
They're going to punish us for too many men. We're going to be sitting back like, oh, fuck, again, here we go. And thank God we took care of it. We've been, honestly, 90% of our momentum has been coming off of that PK because it's outstanding. I cannot sit here and say it's been coming off our power play. That's for sure.
No, but that penalty, well, yes, we killed it, directly led to their goal.
Correct.
Like, we had just killed it. We were still getting guys, rotating back and getting into it. The crowd was kind of into it a little bit. We definitely didn't generate any momentum off the kill because it was a nervy kill. They definitely had their chances there. And then, something that we called out during the regular season, something we called out in our Series 1 preview that we didn't touch on this time because he didn't have a mental mistake in Series 1. Charlie McAvoy just too hard off the boards. It's tough to necessarily entirely blame him in that we know these boards in every arena are a little bit different. Things are weird. You're not practicing on that ice all that much. You're trying, like, it was the right move. It was just the wrong result. It was too hard. It was behind the guy on the breakout. Everybody's going forward. All of a sudden, turnover to the worst possible guy you can give a turnover to. Not to get Chuck, ends up with the puck, rifles it through, I think it was Lindholm's legs.
Yeah, and it deflected off Lindholm. It wasn't even
ever so slightly, just enough to put it back on target. And we were down. And it was one of those, I watched that happen, and immediately my thought was, one of two things are going to happen. This is going to completely deflate us, and we're going to be zombies the rest of the game. Or we're going to wake the hell up. And a minute
we woke up quick.
Later, we
woke up quick. Yeah.
And to be honest, I'll put this on the record because I texted it to you. I texted it to the Chow. I said it to my wife. So there's no hiding from this. I thought we were going to bend. I thought we were going to bend all the way over. I thought that was going to be a game one backbreaker. That was so far into the second period that I was just like that was gonna pop the balloon on game one. We were gonna fold. We were gonna feel sorry for ourselves. We'd be sitting here now tonight being like, hey, we played a really good 30 minutes and then it kind of fell apart. We can take heart from that. Like, all right. Yeah. Instead, they did the other option they had, the one that I will be perfectly honest, I didn't think they were going to take, but they did, and I cannot be more happy to be proved wrong.
Yeah, especially to Chuck. That's probably the last guy you want scoring the first goal in this series, like that. Almost anyone but him. Yeah. So to see them come out like that, I mean, we've done it back-to-back games. It is timing about goals. Seconds. You can just deflate the other team. That's a momentum shift right there. I mean, how deflating is it to think you're running away and then bam, tied, and then we do it again very quickly later. I mean, couldn't ask for anything better. And
it was.
I will say too, the coaching change, putting in Geeky on the second line, I feel like it elevated his game. I feel like it was a good move. If he doesn't get that goal, maybe we don't say that, but I feel like it definitely helped the lines click a little bit tonight. One, moving him up, but two, putting him in the center of Zacha and Pastrnak. I feel like it did wonders for both their games.
Honestly, for the whole forward core, I have no complaints for the entire forward core. They skated hard. We got goals. Brazo gets in late with one of those. That was just I am bigger and longer than you, and I will just be able to hold the puck way over here and then bring the puck way over here and then flick it up. You're trying to trip me. I'm so long, you can't trip me. Like they tried to trip him. And
they did trip him.
I'm too big.
He did go down to his knees, and he's still buried.
I'm too big. No, to your point, that they recovered. They recovered in remarkable and notable fashion. And then Carlo gets the second.
You gotta love that.
You got home. You called me with 53 seconds left in the period. Hey, just got home, gonna shower. I'll talk to you during the third. I was like, awesome. They're going to commercial. You've got time. Like it'll be fine. Turns out they didn't go to commercial. What I thought was an offsides was actually, I think, an icing. And so the footage stayed right, like the coverage stayed right there. And almost right after that, Carlo goes with the it was such a sick goal.
It was a flick of the wrist.
Tess and I were watching the replay. Like before I celebrated, I was like, there's a chance with how aggressively that came out that just went bar out.
Yeah, he
got to see where it goes. Got to see where it goes. And then it just did the U. It wrapped the whole cage and shot out. And that was one of the okay. All right.
I'm not gonna lie. I saw his 53 seconds. It was still on my phone. I go, and you said it was going to commercial break. So I was honestly about to keep my phone in my hand and carry my hockey bag into the back of the house. And I was gonna watch. And I go, Pat said he let me know if anything happens. And to be completely honest, I will be the first one to admit this. I'm sitting there thinking Florida's going to fucking score a goal now that he said that in the next 53 seconds. I really did. That was in the back of my mind more than anything. So I don't watch it. I try to come upstairs. The second I turn on the TV, first thing I see before anything is like nothing was really going on. It said 3-1 Bruins. I'm like, wait, did we fucking score? And sure enough, as I get it on, they're replaying the Carlo goal. It was that was great to see. We said we needed it. I did not expect it to come in those 53 seconds. So
no, neither did I. And honestly, neither did Florida. Like that was the goal that we have given up so many times this year. Many times. Those, oh my God, there's 32 seconds left and we gave up a goal. Usually it's when we're winning and we're winning 3-1 and we give it up to go down 3-2. And then the third period's just gangbusters. And it's like, oh my God, I'm going to have a heart attack. It was so nice to feel it on the other side. It was so nice to go into the intermission just like, oh, we just deflated their tires. Like there's nothing there for them.
I might get a lot of flack from this for people that are not Bruins fans, but we might be the best team in the league when we are up by more than a goal. Like if we're up by 2, I'm very confident in this team. We can go into another dump and chase level that I like. That's why it's so important. That's why we've called out many times. It's important for us to come out in the first 10 minutes and set the tone. Because if we get the first goal, the numbers are dramatically different. We don't play that well from behind. If we can get up 1, never mind 2, we have a different system that we play when we are up by a goal or 2.
No, I agree. And it's no more obvious than what we did in that third period when we came out and just stacked the neutral zone. We played that classic Tampa trap, and we're just like, all right, try and beat us one man with speed. Like, I trust my goaltender. Honestly, I trust my second D man to just shield you behind the net, and then everyone's just going to collapse and mark a man. Like, when we can play that way where we don't care, like, it's in soccer, you see it when a team is just so not threatened. They're like, I don't have the ball 35 yards from goal. I don't care. You're no threat out there. I'm not worried. You can have the possession. That doesn't bother me. Possession doesn't win the game. Like y'all can skate around, do whatever, like do it out there. That's fine.
We give him so much shit, but I gotta give him his props. Montgomery called a timeout, not a time you'd typically see that.
I loved it.
We were getting outshot 11-1. Now, granted,
I loved it.
None of those, maybe 3 or 4 of those shots were actually dangerous. So I felt like out of those 11, they were keeping them to the outside. But after that timeout, they didn't get a shot on net for like 10 minutes.
I loved it. I loved it. That is exactly where you want to see the coach go like, hey, what's the worst thing that could happen right now? Would be a fluke, random, triple deflection off the weird, like goal. Like that would be the worst possible thing.
Yeah.
We're kind of reeling a little bit. Let's just call timeout. Timeout. We'll come over. We'll talk about it. We'll throw it. Like I loved it. It's one of those you see. Obviously, in hockey, you only have the one timeout. In basketball, you have a great number. But like it was the classic. All right, other teams going on a run a little bit. We're going to call timeout. We're going to settle it down. We're going to get our shooters back out there. You're like, hang on.
Yeah. Joe Mazzulla might need to take some notes from Montgomery because
they need to be in a WhatsApp. Like, just get them in a WhatsApp chat together because if when the Celtics start tomorrow, I start seeing that kind of bullshit. Jim Montgomery can't be outcoached by Joe Mazzulla. Like they both need to just lean on each other right now because they're both in the same bin. It's the sin bin. But Joe Mazzulla took a big step to getting himself out of that for me because of that timeout. That combined with I've been looking and I would love for the chat to tell me what it actually is because I haven't been able to find it. Why is Kevin Shattenkirk out? I don't know. Why was Derek Forbort in? I mean, I'll take him over Matt Grzelcyk. But as soon as Carlo was back in, I didn't think we were going to see a Forbort or a Grzelcyk. Then Forbort was out there.
Surprising.
He held his own. His own. There was like it was a classic. There were, to be honest, 0 positives I could see from him, but also 0 negatives. There were 0 negatives.
Which is all you can ask from a guy returning to a lineup.
Right. For a guy who's partnering Parker Wotherspoon, like no mistakes, no benefits, but like whatever. The main thing is no mistakes. Like if we can just get no mistakes out of that spot, I don't need you to be a world beater. I just need you to not fuck up. Speaking of which,
I got to highlight, a lot of the rookies from our offense are getting credit. Holy shit, have the defensive rookies stepped up.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously Lorai's not a guy you're bringing out there. He's good on defense, but like you're not expecting him to be a shutdown guy. So for him to contribute in the way he can, I mean, he's been great, even going back to Toronto and controlling the puck, doing just enough defensively, but also creating plays. I loved his game tonight, obviously. Wotherspoon's doing. We called it. I've said it. I said Wotherspoon's a better Matt Grzelcyk, and seems like the coaching staff is on board with us as well. I've loved every aspect of our defense. Yeah, I mean,
well, look, what Wotherspoon, obviously of the two, Lowry is more quote unquote NHL ready, right? Yeah. He's got the two-way game, like, but what Wotherspoon lacks in polish, he's got in effort, grit. Yeah, like, and in grit, sure. and he just, I mean, we saw it at the end of the game there, where he was driving forward, and to Mason Lowry's credit, there was one point where to try and salvage a play in the offensive zone, Lowry just lays out on his belly and just like knocks the puck. It didn't end up going anywhere, but the effort there is exactly what we were saying 4 hours ago. Like, I need to see these guys out there skating hard, effort plays, hitting, all of that.
Yeah, and although I still won't give Charlie Coyle credit for being a standout tonight. He did have He did have one PK where I saw him lay down and kind of swat that puck out of there. Or that might have been Charlie McAvoy, actually, now I'm thinking about it. So never mind. Coyle's still in the team. That was Charlie McAvoy.
I still don't know. I still don't know where Charlie Coyle is.
Wrong Charlie. I also wild, but I somehow the faceoff started to even out. We got the 42% to 58. Don't know how that happened because we were down.
We were at 80-20 one point, and then I think it's just we ended up we were up 4-1, and they were just not playing their guys anymore.
Fair.
I mean, it was a game one that is huge in that is now win number 5. But it is just one game. This is the type of performance that needs to show up on Wednesday. And you have to know, if you're the coaching staff, if you're the captains, if you're the veterans in that room, if you're the Carlo to the Maroon to the Marchand to the Pazza, the guys that have been there before, Florida is going to come out like a drag racer on Wednesday. They are going to blow their load in the first 6.5, 7 minutes. They are going to need to get this fair weather fan base. And I have no problem calling them a fair weather fan base because with 6 minutes left in the game, that crowd was gone. You probably paid a good, for those lower bowl seats, you probably paid a good $1,500 for lower bowl. And
I'd be shocked if that was the case in Florida, but maybe.
I was looking at Game Time earlier. They're that expensive.
Wow.
They're garden expensive right now. That's how bullish the secondary market was on Florida's chances. Like this was not what was supposed to happen.
We can call them fair weather fans because we were there 10 years ago and they didn't have 50% of the stadium filled.
And the 50%
$30 for tickets and walk all the way down.
And the 50% that was filled were wearing black and gold. Like I fully agree. Like,
have you ever heard of a professional sports arena or stadium that has free parking? Because that's what Florida had up until 10 years ago.
I know.
We fucking warm up the buses, guys. Go to the fucking parking lot because Jesus Christ, I've never seen that. What organization would be like? Just give them free parking. Don't charge even $10. Like
free parking games. I know that was nuts.
Like talk about needing to attract a crowd.
Well, they attracted all the Bruins fans in South Florida. That's what they were doing, and they did it. But I mean, like, so then to see that in a playoff game, I don't care who you are. As a professional athlete or as somebody that played, sports in college or anything like that. When you've got a fan base that is there, when you look up at some point and realize that they've all just like left.
Yeah.
That's demoralizing as shit. Like when you look around, you're just like,
And honestly, there was a good Bruins showing. So you see empty seats and then Bruins fans.
Right. So what that tells me is that in the first 10 minutes of game 2, they're going to have to come out and basically earn back their crowd.
Yeah. Yeah.
Otherwise, they're going to start getting booed. Just because, let's be honest, Florida knows no better. Like they're going to boo them like they have the pedigree as a fan base to boo their team. Like when Toronto started booing the Maple Leafs in Toronto, it was like, yeah, well, they've seen this for 70 years. Like, yeah, there's fathers, grandfathers, and their kid like that have seen this and can boo that. Florida's been relevant for 5 years. They've been a franchise for 30. They've been relevant for less than 5. Like they have their fan base has no right booing anybody, but they're going to boo because that is what they feel like they are entitled to do. And if I'm convinced if they don't score in the first 10 or if they have an early power play that we kill, there's going to be boos that are raining out. And
I don't think you're wrong.
I don't think that this Florida team is going to be accustomed to that.
I don't think you're wrong. I feel like, I think we called this out about the pressure before we kind of previewed this game. And I felt like the Panthers, or I said we had the most pressure for kind of game 1, but I feel like the Panthers have the pressure on the series.
Agreed.
So I feel like we definitely had more pressure going in tonight. We capitalized on that. The Panthers are going to have the most pressure going for the rest of the series. They're going to have to prove it again. I mean, everyone came into this series saying Boston was going to get blown out, and look what happened. So, I mean, we got to take advantage of that.
Yeah, and it's one of those winning 1 on the road. Not even talking about game 2. Not like having 1-1 on the road. Whatever the record of the series is going back to Boston is going to invigorate that TD Garden crowd. The Bruins have now proven to the Boston sports fandom that they can beat this team. They can out-physical this team. They can handle this team. That is going to be what carries the Bruins crowd, who, while also they are not fair-weathered, we are not fair-weathered, but we demand results. We demand excellence. We demand effort, if nothing else. We've now proven that we can do it. So the Bruins just bought a shit ton of goodwill from the faithful going into our 2 home games of like, hey, but I know we've got it. It's not like we came out here and bent over in the first 30 seconds and it's just like, prove to me why this is even worth the money. Like we just did. We just did. You buy your ticket now, you support this team now because we just did that to this team that was supposed to kick the shit out of us. So, Garden crowd, and I think the Garden crowd is going to respond to that. Like, we are the biggest, I say we, Bruins crowds in general are the most show me why I should give a shit.
100%.
I feel like
regardless of the result of game 2,
doesn't matter. We just showed, hey, we can do this. And now, as long as we're within 3 goals in a game, we have a proven thing to go back to of like, hey, we can do this. We scored 5. So as long as we're not down by 6, we can tie this. We can win this. We like whatever it might be.
You also just reminded me, we got to talk about it. Interesting that the coaching staff went with Swayman, but yet another game he doesn't let in more than 2 goals. I mean, I'm still kind of shocked we didn't play Allmark. I really thought, like based on comments earlier in the day, that was the thing. You can't go back to him. You can't go back to him unless there's some sort of
there's got to be a blowout or an injury.
And he even has a leash. I'd say I'd go far enough to say he has a pass, even if he has a bad game.
Agreed.
You can't go back to him at this point. So it's a
tough look for Ollie, but I mean Swayman. I mean,
Swayman is
the
out of
guy's
his mind.
the guy's playing like he has X-ray vision right now. You can't pull him. And I'll give Montgomery his flowers on that too. I think we both called for Allmark to come into this game. Monty was like, I've got a feeling about this hot hand, and he was fucking right. He was fucking right. I don't know. I don't know if Allmark makes some of those saves. I don't know if Allmark doesn't. I do know now, in hindsight, Jeremy Swayman made those saves, which means Monty made the right call. So I've as much as I think that he makes some questionable and poor decisions, that was a great decision from him. And I'm going to give him his flowers now so that when he screws up, I can tear him down later. So he knew better than me. He knew better than me there. He did what he knew was right. It turns out he was exactly right. And that's one of those ones he can hang his hat on.
Talk about demoralizing the way Swayman's playing. And then there was one of those scrums at the end where everyone piled up. For him to just come out of that with his blocker hand with the puck and throw it to the ref and start laughing. Like, can you imagine being a Panther and just sitting there like, this guy's fucking the best goalie in the league right now, and he's just laughing it off like it's nothing. Like, so
I gotta say that's another one of those benefits of, we see this from the Americans, the Canadians, and the Russians. That cockiness that, I mean, the Canadians have it because historically Canada is the greatest hockey nation, stereotypically. You get it from Russia because, well, the Russians think that they're God at everything. And then you get it from the Americans for the exact same reason. We think we're the best at everything even when we're not. You just get that arrogance. Like it's inbred in us, which is why I think we clash heads with the Russians, but also want to be friends with the Russians all the time. It's like, it's literally, that's Europe's America. Like, everybody's looking at us like, oh my God, you're doing it again. Can you just not? But we're just like, Leroy Jenkins. Like that's what we do. And then, so I think that Jeremy Swayman, being Alaskan, which is American, but as Canadian as American as you can get, and also a little bit of Russian in there, so yeah, you wouldn't see that. You don't see that kind of laughing, that kind of arrogance out of a lot of our other European player. You don't like, Pasternak is like laughing, but he's like jovial. He's like genuinely like, good joke. Good joke. Not 100%. Like, I fucked you, bro. Fuck off. You got nothing. Like, that would never come out of Pasternak's mouth. No. Like, ever. Allmark's the same way. You know, say like, I don't like, whereas Jeremy Swayman's just like, fuck all of you. Yeah. Fuck all of you. And
well, I mean, I'm still sure. What a turn of events from Saturday up until we scored that goal. My emotions have fucking been on a roller coaster. I was writing this team off up until Pasternak scored that goal. Like, I'll be the first one to admit it. It's taken 10 years of them disappointing me. For me, you know me, Pat, Mr. Optimist, until we could be down.
I know we flip-flopped.
We could be down 5 goals in a game 4, down 0-3, and I would say, you know what, we're gonna figure it out, Pat. I finally was deflated.
We flip-flopped on Saturday. I don't know what it was. Screaming,
these fucking bums don't deserve to be in the NHL. They fucking sucked up until that Pasternak goal, and now I'm sitting here thinking, holy shit, we might have righted the ship.
And I just want to point out, I called that righting of the ship. I called it at the beginning. I thought we were going to see something from guys we hadn't seen yet.
Every time what did we get? In Game 7.
What did we get? We got Brazo. We got Carlo. Like, we got guys that had never done this before.
And then guys sneakily Zaka, Pastra, Coyle, Marchand on the assist categories. Like, those were sneaky. I don't even like.
Okay. Yes, but we got to talk about this. Pasternak's got to bury that first period chance. He's got it.
I didn't see the first period.
You'll see the highlight. You're gonna kick yourself. It was criminal. It was criminal. It was at a time where Florida was controlling everything. We got one of those fluke turnovers in between the dots, and he just held the puck too long.
He did another one of those, let's shoot it 10 feet wide and around the boards that I saw tonight as well. But he did also get, I mean, we can talk about it, but he did also get slashed on that breakaway.
On the second one. Yep.
I'm almost 95% sure he would have buried that. The whole net was wide open. So, I mean, it ended up not mattering, but yeah, I mean,
couldn't agree with you more. And we texted right after of just like, you've got at least 2 referees looking at that. It's on the hand. Like, it's not on the stick.
Flash right on the hand.
It's not, it's right. It wasn't on the stick. It wasn't in between the hand. Like, it was on the hand. To the point where even the incredibly biased national announcers were like, they hit on the hands. They got away with one there. And it's like, if they're saying you got away with it. Now, shortly after that, we did have the whack-a-mole on Jeremy Swayman. And then Charlie McAvoy goes completely wood chopper on somebody.
On Ekman Larson. That was yeah.
But even then, they weren't calling the hack on Swayman. And it's like, if you're not going to protect the goalie, you've got to let the defenseman defend their goalie. Like, if you're not going to call that, you can't just let it be open season on the goaltender. I don't want it to be open season on either side's goal. Like, we shouldn't be able to go hit Bobrovsky like that, but they can't hit Swayman like that. That was out of pure frustration. That was pure frustration. And that is one of those, if you're not going to call a penalty right away on that, then you have to allow the defensemen and the forwards to come in and get some hands in the face and just be like, hey, you fucking do that again on the back of his pad, on the back of his leg, on the back of him, like whatever it is, I'm going to fuck you up, cowboy. Like, I'm letting you know.
And we called it. We tonight we played the not good guy. We had some questionable hacks that, like, whatever. Like, let's send it. Like, we defended ourselves until the very last second.
Right.
Love Maroon and Frederick mixing it up.
Yeah.
Did you see JVR at the end? I don't know. It was 77 on Florida. He was clearly trying to run someone in the last 30 seconds, and JVR shoved him into our board.
Yeah.
After the game ended, I'm like, let's fucking go, JVR.
And that's I love the no call on all of that. Like, that is to me, that is playoff hockey. Like, but that is different than a slash on an open guy. Like, that is different.
That was pretty bad.
That is different. That is not extracurriculars. That is not physicality on the boards. Like, that is a guy is in alone on the goaltender and you hacked his wrist. Like,
yeah, that was pretty bad. And McAvoy hacked the fuck out of Ekman Larson's fucking kidney. But I mean, that's the shit that other teams have been getting away with on us. So,
and we haven't done it back. And we haven't done it back. Now we're finally doing it back. And it was great to see that we're not called. Hopefully we look at that and we say, like, all right, if they're going to let that kind of shit go, then let's do it until they raise a stink. When they raise a stink, this is going to be my biggest point. There was a portion of the second period where it was Rocek or Barkov or one of their rat looking guys was on the bench, feeling he had gotten penalized and was chirping at the refs, like doing the side saddle, like he wasn't all the way on the bench yet. He was side saddling, like yelling and stuff. And the coaching staff was also yelling. And I texted you right away and I said, bullshit or not, Florida's going to get the next soft call.
Yeah.
And sure enough, Florida got the next soft as fuck call. And it's something that we don't see from the Bruins coaching staff. We don't see them getting upset when Pasternak gets hacked on the hands. We don't see them getting upset when our guys are getting boarded. We don't see them getting upset when our guys are getting need to need or anything like that. Like, there's a difference between like the one like, hey, that was fucking wrong, Brad. What the fuck? All right, whatever. Like that does no good. Like you've got to make a stink and make a scene and make
call
it
him over
be
and
very
say,
well documented that
call him over to the
you're
bench and say,
upset.
explain that one to me. Explain to me how that
to where
is
the commentators have to start commenting on it, which gets to Toronto, which gets to the DPS and the referees. Like, oh man, like if Jim Montgomery had been like, hey, come over to me and just explain what you were looking at when you missed the hack on the hands. I'll admit you missed the hack on the hands. You'll watch the replay and realize there was a hack on the hands, but just tell me what it is you were looking at. Were you looking at the play? I mean, clearly, sorry, that was stupid. You clearly weren't looking at the play, or had you seen the hack on the hands? What were you looking at? Was it the tits in row 4? Because I've also been looking at those. Those are great. But if that's what you were looking at, I need you to like that is the kind of have that conversation.
Yeah,
Makes the comment like it makes everybody talk about like because that was ridiculous. That was ridiculous, and the fact that nothing came of it. And we ended up winning it means it's going to get buried and we're not going to talk about it. It's not going to get brought up in between game 1 and game 2 because I also know Jim Montgomery and he's going to be a giant pussy about it. And he's not going to file a grievance. He's not going to go and be like, hey, my intern cut together all this, which is what I told you he needs to do. He just needs to have an unpaid intern, just cut together all this footage and just mail it in. Just be like, question mark?
Costa got slapped in the hands on a breakaway. Not even.
Just question mark. Send footage. Next bit of footage. Double question mark. Send footage. Like, what is it? What is going on?
I meant to bring it up to you because I looked the one when I called out the Charlie McAvoy potentially getting something, and it was do they not have the Department of Player Safety in the playoffs? It's like they do up until the end of the regular season, they always post the video. Fucking McCarron fined, Shattenkirk fined maximum for actions in Bruins game. It stops once the playoffs starts. Like, why is the NHL player safety not continuing through the playoffs? Why don't we hear about any of this? Like, let's add that fact up for a second. Like what? Literally, the latest story is the last one is the Predators game on April 14th.
We need to hire an investigative journalist. I need to know the answer. Do they just take
the NHL player safety just goes home for the summer for the holidays?
There is no safety in the playoffs.
Like, honestly, what the fuck? I was like shocked when I looked that up the other day. I'm like, I saw Shattenkirk and I'm figuring, oh, that must have been like one of the playoff games. I'm like, oh shit, Shattenkirk got fined last game. And it's like, no, that was 30 days ago. Like, they're all over the place. That blew my mind. Like, there's just no player safety in the playoffs.
Well, there's certainly no accountability in the playoffs. I'll put it that way. That's atrocious. I didn't even know that. Yikes. We'll have to pool our resources and try and get somebody hired to look into that because that's ridiculous.
What do we got? Wednesday night, 7:30?
Yeah, when Wednesday night, Nick, with the Bruins. Fucking love it. I've actually never seen it that way. That's great. Yeah, Wednesday night, 7:30 Eastern, 6:30 my time. I'm going to find a clever way to get out of an HOA meeting so that I don't have to miss the game. Because I am now on my HOA. Chairman of the board. I find out today there's a meeting that I'm required to be at on Wednesday. Just found out now. I was like, oh my God, what the fuck?
I'm going to tell
I'll figure out a way.
Good luck. I know you're in Texas. I'm going to put out a flyer to all the illegal immigrants and all the people coming to Massachusetts. I'm going to say, if you're looking for a place, Pat takes them in at this address in Texas. Feel free to show up. All the houses are free. You don't have to pay.
Again, I will literally castrate you. No, all right. So game one's in the books. Game two, maybe we've got an Andrew Peak back. Maybe we got a Danton Heinen back. I don't know if we fuck with the forward lines.
I don't see any scenario where you put Heinen in this lineup.
I agree, and I know, and I heard some crap from my mother, or maybe it might have been my brother. I don't know which one. That was like, who the hell is this Brown guy? And it was right after he got the penalty. He didn't play well.
He didn't play well.
But size wise, I think he's built for this series. Like, he didn't play well. I don't think he'll say he played well. I don't think the coach will say he played well.
No.
I don't think the coach should say he played well. I think the coach should be like, it looked like his first game in the NHL. He's got to be better. But I think his size complements what we're trying to do.
Especially early in the series.
And so I think he gets another run out, especially on the road, because exactly to your point, in this type of series on the road early, you go out there and you make these hits, you make these statement plays, you do all of that. And he's a guy that can do that. Like, honestly, that just gives Dan Heinen an extra 48 hours before maybe he comes back when we need something at home. Where, hey, now we're gonna beat you a different way. Like, we've beaten you twice, or we've beaten you once, like with this way. Now we're gonna show you something new, and it's gonna be this guy and this guy and this guy and this guy, like whatever it might be. Honestly, the way Forbert wasn't a liability tonight makes me think unless Peak is like, hey, this is not an injury that could possibly reoccur, I almost hold Peak out until game 3. And it's like, hey, let Forbert run out there again. Let's really make sure Andrew Peak's good. I don't know. I still don't know the nature of that injury. They've been really secretive about what that is.
Yeah.
But if it's anything that like, oh, it should be all right, but like he could retweak it, like keep him out another time. Like Forbert wasn't a liability. And now we've got a playoff series because guess what? A home team lost. So now the playoff series is officially on.
Agreed.
And now if we just win at home, it doesn't matter. And I think we've proven to the Garden that we can beat this team.
I agree. I love the size we brought tonight. I think, ESPN, of course, it was towards us, but they said something like with the last 10 minutes left, they're like, at this point, Florida, you're down 4-1. Like, they basically said Florida should start hitting our defensemen and taking a piece of our defensemen to wear them down.
To wear it for the rest of the series.
I love that. Like, if that's why Brown's in, do that for the first 2 games. Even if we don't even come out of the next game with a win, if you're just beating up their defense so that when Beecher was in, but if Boakfist comes back or Heinen comes back, and then they beat them with speed come games 3 and 4, great. I mean, I will say this. I think Florida's a faster team than us. So beat them down early, then we can use speed to our advantage.
Agreed.
But yeah, I wouldn't change up much. That's for sure. I mean, we won. Like the message should be, hey, same guys go out there and do the same thing.
Yeah, honestly, I wouldn't change a whole heck of a lot. And I just communicate that with the guys that are trying to come back from injuries or whatever it might be. To include Shattenkirk, we don't know what's up with him, but just like, hey, take a breath. We weren't supposed to win this one. We're going to try and roll it back. Make sure y'all are healthy come big boy time in Boston. And we'll go from there. Like it's one of those, I would not be thrilled to see 3 or 4 lineup changes before game 2. Like there's no reason to do that. The one thing I will say that the national crew pointed out today was, for much of the season, these guys are used to playing just about every other day.
Yeah.
To Florida's credit, they looked like they had played 48 hours ago. to our credit, we looked like we had played 48 hours ago, and our conditioning was fine.
Yeah.
I didn't see any of the fatigue that I saw in the Toronto, which I don't know what to attribute that to, because I refuse to believe that there wasn't serious fatigue in that game 7, which was only 48 hours ago, but they weren't showing it this game.
It's probably getting the vitamin D down there in sunny Sunrise, Florida, instead
Then
of going
go
to the
out,
cold
boys.
Toronto.
Go out
extra energy
tomorrow. Go out tomorrow, watch some game film in the sun. We've been on that beach. We've
Quick
got
cool day,
trashed on that
heal
beach.
the muscles.
We know right where that beach is. Just, avoid some of the crabs, and you'll be fine. Any last thoughts before we put a bow on game 1?
No, just fucking keep going. Like, don't let up like you did with Toronto. Like, this is the exact same thing we did in the first series. Pretty much identical of how we won. Like, we didn't necessarily dominate game 1, but we dominated on the scoreboard. Don't let up. If anything, double down. Play harder. Show that you can win another game 5-1. That's my key, is like, do not come out deflated. Florida's going to come twice as hard, and we need to weather the storm in the first 10 minutes in a composed way. Don't just start go running around.
Right.
Compose yourself and make plays.
I couldn't agree more. This is where Montgomery continues to earn his money. They're going to come out. We are calling it at midnight Eastern, 11 my time. We are calling it right now. Florida is going to come out with a vengeance those first 10 minutes. Be prepared for that. Know what that looks like. Know what that feels like. You felt it already in the last 10 days. Toronto did it too. And what this feels like. Just stifle it, blunt it, accept that it's going to, it's one of those like when you're standing in the foyer of like the grocery store looking out at the parking lot and it's pouring rain and your car's out there and you're like, I've got to get to my car. I'm going to get battered by some rain. You could either like go out there and just like head down, hood up, put one foot in front of the other, or you can go out there like a fucking idiot, trip and fall face down in the puddle. Like, I've seen that guy. I've seen it happen. I've never been it, but I've seen it happen. You are about to get hit by wind and rain and storm and whatever. You can either just, all right, boys, we're going to go, we're going to keep our groceries dry and we're going to get to the car and we're going to get out of here, okay? Or you can fall the fuck over and capitulate. And
this is the one area that they have yet to prove to us. They've proven a lot of things in the last 2 games. They have yet to prove that they can come out after a win and punch a team in the mouth. Like, that is the one area they have not been able to do. Like,
agreed.
They haven't shown us they can come out in the first 10 minutes and dominate a team and impose their will.
Yep.
That's the one area. Like, if there's any time for it, it's on Wednesday. So
I don't even need them to impose their will in the first 10 minutes. I need them to absorb it all in the first 10 minutes and then go impose the will. Like, don't try and do too much too early. Absorb it. Be like, hey, body blow. All right, now I'm going to come hit you in the mouth. Like, you tired?
Fair enough.
Oh, you gassed yourself a little bit? Let's go. Like, I don't anticipate us being able to over emotion the Panthers in the first 5-10 minutes of game 2. They're going to come out firing. We need to know that that's what they're going to do, and just and basically, like, it's not prevent defense, but it's more like, hey, they're going to run the ball. All right, we're going to stack the box. Like, y'all beat us on some fluky shit. You beat us on some fluky shit. But we're going to, we know what you want to do. And what you want to do is come out flying and score 5 goals in the first 5 minutes. So what are we going to do? We're going to grab the puck. We're going to hold it behind our net. And we're going to cycle a couple of times. We're going to do this. We're going to hold you in the neutral zone. We're going to force some icings. We're going to do that until your crowd is restless and your energy is gone. And then we're going to turn it up to 11 and we're going to come for you. That is how I think we win game 2.
Curious, was it the coil line the coil line that started tonight, or did they? I would love to see them roll with the fourth line on Wednesday. I doubt it will happen.
It was not the fourth line that started tonight.
I would love to see something like that. I feel like that would be a statement.
Pat Maroon started doing some little of that chirpiness that he does. There was a couple of hand motions to the crowd,
jerking off the fans.
There's a couple of those. Nobody wanted the Trent Freddy smoke.
No one on that team is going to be able to take Pat Maroon, and no one's going to be able to take Frederick on that team either. So I'm pretty. Yep. There's no Ryan Reeves on the ice, that's for sure, boys.
So, all right, we will
be live after
we hope Jim Montgomery listens to the pod and takes our word to heart. I'm always here. You can video conference me in. I'll fly myself up or out there to Florida, and I will talk to the boys.
Jim, hire us to pump up the boys. We're getting Conor McGregor for the next game.
Hey, could do. All right, that's going to do it for our game 1 recap. Thank you all for tuning into the Kings of Causeway. Don't forget to follow the Mother Network at BSEN_617. Until Wednesday nights, coffee, be good. I'll see you then, buddy.
Pat, let's do it. Go Bees.